morning, commissioners, as well as members of the public who may be joining us from Sacramento, a very sunny morning. We want to thank everyone for being here. Aaron, if we could just maybe start the Operations and Planning Committee with a roll call of commissioners that are present.
Certainly. Currently, we have Commissioner Topalian, Commissioner Lopez.
Here. Good morning.
Commissioner Lopez. Vice Chair Hayes-White.
Good morning.
Executive Director Calamise. And Chair Toston.
Thank you, and good morning, all. Wanted to welcome you to the Operations and Planning Committee. We have a number of folks here and just 2 agenda items to discuss. And so I'd like to leave the majority of our time for the committee assignments and liaison assignments, given that we have a number of new commissioners that have joined the commission, and we have a full roster that will be pretty stable for the time being. But the first agenda item that we have is to review the Goal Award. And the Goal Award was established by the Glazier family in around 2005-06. And it's an opportunity to highlight programs that demonstrate exemplary practices in special education. Last year, the Goal Award was a bit disrupted, not a bit, totally disrupted by COVID. And that disrupted the submission of applications. And so last year, we did not have a recipient of the Goal Award, but that application was continued on or grandfathered in this year and will be considered as we receive other applications. Aaron, do you by chance remember the timeline for the Goal Award process? And I believe we send the applications out or announce the applications around this time of year with the selection process happening before our June meeting.
Certainly, Chair Toston. Typically, we'll open up the application process around this time to run through March. Then early April will be the final submission date, and the Goal Committee would review the applications and narrow the field if needed. In April, the Goal Award finalists would be selected, and in June, the award would be presented typically.
Okay. And the members of the Goal Committee this year are Commissioner Michelle Andrus is the chair. Commissioners Hamilton and Oyakawa also support the goal process and coordinating the review of applications among the commissioners as necessary. So at our last ONP, we had a conversation around maybe considering refreshing the Goal Award or having a conversation with the Glazier family or potentially seeking other philanthropists who may want to support a goal. And my thinking or suggestion or idea is recognizing the importance of exemplary practices, but also in this time that we're kind of educating in the importance of inclusive practices and programs that are exemplary in their inclusion of students with disabilities and the efforts that they take to create inclusive environments on their local campuses is an idea that I've had kind of mulling around in the back of my mind and wanted to throw out to the ONP committee for consideration around exploring highlighting programs that support inclusive practices. Thoughts, comments, reactions?
I'll speak. This is Janine. I think that's a great idea based on what the commission's work has been. And I think moving forward, that would be something that, you know, it would be great to bring that in, the inclusive part of it this year, of just having to pick a program with exemplary, I can't even speak this morning, exemplary program where they're doing inclusive practices. So I agree.
Thanks for that. And as I was thinking, I mean, we had a presentation from our partners over in Marin County earlier this year in terms of the extraordinary measures they went to prioritize students with disabilities during the pandemic to ensure in-person instruction and limiting the disruption of their educational programs. And we will certainly hear from other programs throughout the year who have exemplary practices, but knowing the direction of the state, the indicator for least restrictive environment that we supported increasing next year will only support more inclusive programs being developed and more practices being implemented throughout the state. So I think it's a great time for us to highlight those bright spots as exemplars for other LEAs to model their practices after and potentially learn from over time. Good morning, Commissioner Andrews. Yeah, perfect timing. Your ears must have been burning.
Sorry about that, you guys. I had to restart my internet. We have a tremendous amount of wind here today.
No problem whatsoever. So just to catch you up, we were discussing the goal award and continuing the process this year as we have in previous years. And just thought maybe in the future, so for the 21-22 school year, we might modify the criteria to focus on programs that are demonstrating exemplary inclusive practices, just given what we've learned about disproportionality and equities in special ed and certainly public education as a result of the pandemic. If we highlight and shine a light on programs that are doing exemplary work in including students with disabilities, that may be an opportunity for us to highlight practices that are worth replicating going forward.
That sounds great.
So any other thoughts or input regarding the goal award?
So can I just get some clarification? The last I saw, we just had one application. Is there additional information at this time about that?
Yeah. So the one application we had was the carryover from last year. We're just starting to recruit or solicit applications this year. And so the program we weren't able to, or because we weren't able to administer the goal award last year due to the pandemic, we will consider the application from last year with the applications that we received this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you guys want to update the rubric that we kind of use to, because we individually review the applications with some type of guidelines. And do you want to update the rubric based on your preference to, really highlight inclusive practices? We could do that. That could be the next step for us as a group.
Yeah. Erin, is there enough time in the year for us to update the rubric, and what would the process be?
I think we certainly could update the rubric if we want to post. We can post for the entire month of March if we get the rubric updated prior to March, which would also mean we probably want to update the application. Really, as far as that process goes, I imagine that the committee could update that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just think it's only fair that everybody's using the same criteria to be able to judge. And if that's our focus, that should be in the criteria. And then, of course, anybody who's applying should know exactly how they're being measured. So.
Yeah, and so initially I was suggesting that maybe we update the application next year just because of time, but we certainly can this year as well. And Erin, we wouldn't need like formal action of the full commission.
I'm not sure on that. We might need a formal action, which would mean that we would have to push it back till next year. I can certainly research that and get back to you on it.
Okay. So, Commissioner Andrews, in the announcements this morning, I will highlight the direction we're going and what we are hoping to accomplish in either this year or certainly next year.
That sounds good. And you guys just let us know what you need. If you need us to move quickly on something, we can try to do that. If you want to just wait and step it out through with the full, input of the other commissioners, that's fine too. You guys just let me know what you think is best.
Perfect. Well, and depending on what we hear from Erin and Michelle, I'll follow up with you and just kind of get a sense of what's reasonable this year. And if we can, then we will. And if not, then we have a plan in place for next year.
Sounds good.
Any other thoughts or input regarding the goal award before we transition to committee and liaison assignments? All right. So moving on to committee and liaison assignments. Erin, can I ask you to share the document that actually the document I sent you that has the committee chairs on it. So we can review these current committees and then maybe make suggestions about committees that we would recommend establishing.
Yes, give me just a second. I'll bring that up.
And while Aaron's bringing that up, let me just give everyone some context. Aaron received a new document from me at 9:57 this morning. Or I'm sorry, 8:57, right before we started the meeting. So he's just going to take a second and grab that. And the document that you're going to see is a familiar document. I simply added some other committees and suggestions related to the committee structure, given some new areas that have come into view since the last time we reviewed our committee assignments.
Unfortunately, Chair Tostin, I don't see that form this morning. Did you send it to me via email this morning?
Yes, I did. So let me resend it to you. And actually, Aaron, it was the liaison assignment, not the committee assignment that I sent, but I will resend. So while I'm resending the liaison assignments, Aaron, can you bring up the committees?
Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth between those. I'll get it up in just a second. Could we switch to the view of the document?
Was that for me, Aaron, or okay?
No, we're just switching around screens. It should be up for you now, Chair Tostin.
Yes, thank you. So what you see are the committee rosters for 2019, 2020. And so last year, Vice Chair Hayes White served as the chair for the Legislative Committee. The Policy Committee chair was Sarah Jockum. We will need to assign a new member or a new chair to the Policy Committee, given that Commissioner Jockum's term has expired. Commissioner Andrus continues hopefully on as the chair of the Goal Committee, given that she took some assignments this morning, as well as members or Commissioners Hamilton and Oyakawa serving as members to the Goal Committee. Aaron, if you could scroll down a little bit. The Election Committee, which will be gearing up here, is Commissioner Topolin and Commissioner Winlock. The next committee on the as we scroll down will be the Mental Health Committee. It's currently chaired by Commissioner Topolin. Aaron, it appears we're working from different documents.
Yeah, we might have a different set of documents.
Yeah, because I don't see the mental health.
So Commissioner Topolin is the current chair of the Mental Health Committee. We've had lots of discussion around the Mental Health Committee around needing to re-engage and relook at it. We've had that conversation over the few meetings, maybe in the fall. But given the importance of this topic right now, especially through the pandemic and the impacts it's having on students, we'd like to resume the Mental Health Committee. And I've already had a conversation with Commissioner Topolin and our one of the new commissioners, Commissioner Elizabeth Estes, who has a long history with mental health and has been active in that area for decades now.
So I'm just going to interject really quick. So Elizabeth is a new commissioner?
Yes.
Oh, that's so exciting. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. I did it. I don't know. When did she get appointed?
Over the holiday break. So, yeah, we had 5 new commissioners joining the commission. Elizabeth Estes, Commissioner Maria Gill, Commissioner Stacy Adler, I believe, who is the county superintendent for Mono County, Sarah Notch, who is a special ed administrator with San Mateo County Office of Education, and Gloria Ruiz are joining us.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And, as this made me think, we all know each other to some degree through the work. Some of us do, and some of our parents, depending on their activities, or commissioners who are primarily parents and have other professional obligations, that may not be as connected to those of us who are K-12 educators. I wonder if maybe a short bio from each commissioner might help us all have a little context for who we are, who the commissioners are, and areas of interest and expertise. That might be helpful as we try and create the relationships that are easy to maintain when we are able to take lunch and coffee breaks together and get to know each other, but a little bit more difficult virtually.
Chair Tostin?
Yes.
Don't we have bios on the website?
Not to my knowledge.
My bio was on the website at one point. So maybe we should all think about updating our bios and post them on the website.
Certainly fine with me. I think it's appropriate that your bio is there because you're awesome and have accomplished a number of things. But we want to make sure that we honor everyone. So, Aaron, can I ask you to put that on our follow-up list between now and the next meeting, that we'll request bios from the commissioners so that we have that information. Absolutely.
I have it on the list.
Thank you. And Commissioner Andrews, that's also a great suggestion, or Vice Chair Hayes-White, in terms of, as we're going into the election committee, having some context for background, and it just informs us as we're making decisions around the leadership for committees and other opportunities in the commission. So resuming the Mental Health Committee with co-chairs Commissioner Topolin and Estes. Are there other committees that we should consider establishing at this point that would be beneficial to our work? Okay. Not hearing any suggestions right now. I'm sorry. Commissioner Topolin, were you jumping in?
I just wanted to jump in. I mean, could you hear me? I think I have a lag, but hopefully you could hear me. Yeah. I don't know if, is this just for the committees itself? It's not regarding like liaisons or like different committees that are out there, correct?
No.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, these are just standing commission committees. We'll switch to liaisons next.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So during the announcements today, I will ask for recommendations in terms of other committees or standing committees that we would like to establish. What we would hope is that each committee would have a work plan and a goal, so we're not just having committees meeting because they need to meet or just agendize, and so that we would have specific areas of focus and initiatives or conversations that we would want to engage in rather than just having standing committees.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So switching to the liaison assignments, and these are the liaison assignments as we had at the beginning of the year. There's the behavior intervention stakeholder work group. We currently don't have a commissioner assigned to that work group, and I am not certain of where that work group stands, if it's still an active work group or if their work has been concluded. The next area that we previously had a commissioner to be the liaison was around instructional standards and practices. This liaison started around the time we were implementing Common Core. I'm making the suggestion that we consider having a liaison to the CPAG, or the California Practitioners Advisory Group. The advisory group has taken on a number of responsibilities related to instruction, MTSS, and the quality of services that are provided to all students. And so having a liaison to the CPAG Commission may be a more efficient means of tracking information and engaging in conversations and ensuring coherence between the various commissions happening at a state level. The next liaison area is the Common Core Standards and Assessment. Commissioner Topolin volunteered to take lead on liaisoning with conversations related to that. Commissioner Topolin, we'd certainly take your input and suggestions in terms of if there is a better description of who you're liaisoning with, if there's a particular group or point or entity that might clarify that. We'd certainly love your input related to that. Low incidence disabilities in state special schools, Commissioner Oyakawa has previously volunteered in that area. Vice Chair Hayes White is the liaison with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Disproportionality, Commissioner Topolin has volunteered to be the liaison. Yes.
I think that one's Havanya.
Yeah, that's
right,
mine.
Havanya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I am sorry.
Thank
It's all
you.
good.
Aaron, I am impressed. I know how to spell Havanya's name, but when people are watching, I get in my head and transpose the vowels. So you did it on the first try. Pupil Services, Commissioner Topolin is the liaison. And Janine, I'm assuming you're still comfortable or interested in continuing on liaisoning with the PPS group?
This one, definitely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You got some built-in
There's
connections.
a lag. I'm sorry.
No problem. Commissioner Andres previously was secondary transition. Commissioner Andres, are you willing to continue on?
Yeah, I'm super interested in it. Not much is happening right now, as you can imagine, because of the difficulties, but yeah.
Juvenile justice, we have not had a liaison in this area just because of lack of, in my opinion, lack of experience or in depth in this area. Previously, the commissioner who liaisoned with juvenile justice was very much integrated into that system and world. And unfortunately, we lost that expertise with Lester transitioning off the commission and his untimely subsequent passing. So we will need to make a call for commissioners who are interested in being the liaison in this area. The next area was federal issues. This was previously vacant. I haven't spoken with Commissioner Altler, but given her role as a county superintendent and engaged in those areas, I wonder if she would be willing to participate as a liaison in that area. The next suggestion is Commissioner Notch, who is a new commissioner. She's currently with San Mateo County Office of Ed, but previously worked in the charter school environment as a special ed director for a number of years. And so made the suggestion that if she's willing to consider being the liaison for the Charter Schools Association. Previously, the liaison was Gina Plate, whose term has ended on the commission, and so needed to backfill that vacancy. The next area is the State Board of Education. I'm the liaison for that area. Moving on to Assistive Technology, Commissioner Hamilton volunteered to be the liaison in that area. The Family Empowerment Centers and Parent Training Information Centers, we have a close relationship with this group and have supported their bills to increase funding for FECs and PTIs in the past, and it is our primary connection to the parent community. So we'll need to identify a liaison who is engaged in this area of the world and has an interest in maintaining our relationships there. Anyone on the call or on an ONP willing to participate in the Family Empowerment Centers and PTI as a liaison, feel free to volunteer. Moving on to the Youth Leadership Forum, Commissioner Mills is the liaison there, which makes sense because of her connection to YLF and her professional obligations. The SELPAs, the Special Education Local Plan Areas, previously the liaison was Sarah Jockum. Sarah has transitioned off of the commission right now. And I believe this is the first time in a very long time that we don't have a SELPA director, someone who's actively employed as a SELPA director on the commission. And so we would want to be intentional around finding a liaison to connect with that group. Finance, I'm the liaison for finance, and so this is with DOF and other conversations related to special ed funding. The governor's office, the liaisons are Commissioner Salmonson and myself. Other areas that I added to the list are the system of support. The system of support is the county offices and SELPAs that have been identified as lead agencies to provide support throughout the state to expand the ability of LEAs to meet the needs of all students. And so monitoring and tracking on the system of support and staying abreast of those activities is going to be important for the commission going forward. So we have an opening for the liaison in that area. The other area, much like the SELPA administrators, the special education administrators of county offices, or SECO, given that Sarah is currently a member of SECO, I'm suggesting that she be the liaison to keep us connected to the work that is happening in SECO, as well as sharing information from the commission to that organization. Similarly, the California County Superintendents of Educational Services Association, or CSESA, because of their role in the state, I would recommend that we identify a liaison for CSESA as well. And given Commissioner Alder's membership in CSESA, would suggest and recommend that she participate as a liaison in that area. The last area that I suggested, and we'll open up for additional areas for liaisons, was the IEP template work group. There's a work group who is working on developing a new IEP template, and so certainly want to track on that work. I don't know if some commissioners may be involved in that work group. Commissioner Topolin?
Yes.
Okay, so are you?
I am, and I believe Elizabeth is as well. So we're both. Yes, we're both involved in that. I'm willing to represent and be the liaison. If I'm sure Elizabeth, she could speak for herself, but she's a part of it too, I believe.
Okay, so we will put both of your names there. And I'm sorry, Commissioner Andres, were you going to interject?
I was just going to ask, but that group is already formed, correct? Because otherwise I was going to say I was interested, but if you're already on it, Janine, all you need to do is just give us, an update on where it's going, how it's going, and next steps. So.
So there's a lot going on in the state right now. There's a number of work groups and a number of opportunities. I'm sorry, Commissioner Tavalla?
Yes, I suggest that if we could be a liaison to the mental health subcommittee, because that's a big group that at this point has come out with a framework, and given the state of mental health, and we're going to start with that committee, I think that would be great if we could be a liaison. And if they agree to it, we could be liaison to that subcommittee. And the PPS and the subcommittee go to hand in hand.
Is this the
MHSOAC?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what it is? Okay, yeah, I don't know. Okay, yeah, I just know it's MHS, so like, yeah, subcommittee. It's the one that just came out with a framework, and they're going to start working on how we're going to implement the school-based and mental health and the framework of outside agencies and working together.
Okay. And
I'd be willing to do that. I know I'm on all. I attend those meetings anyway, so.
You're starting to get typecast.
I'm sorry, you guys are speaking at the same time. I've lost probably the last minute of what you guys are talking about.
Okay, I was just saying that the mental health subcommittee group they just went ahead and have the implementation plan out of the school-based mental health providers, and as well as the community-based agencies, how to create partnerships and work within the schools to be able to provide mental health to all our students and wrap the whole child.
Commissioner Andres.
So apologies to the interpreter. And I just wanted to comment that oftentimes, having sat on that subcommittee for a couple of years, the folks from the mental health department, and I know that that acronym is super hard, they almost always send a representative or call in. And so that's how we've been connected in the past. So I'm just highlighting that that connection already exists. If we need to have somebody on there and, one of our commissioners participate in their meeting, that's another conversation. But I wanted to let you know we could explore maybe just deepening the ties to our own subcommittee.
Okay.
Great point. And Commissioner Tapal, and I wonder if there's a way for us to maybe consolidate a number of these areas, as you were highlighted, that they overlap, whether it's PPS, the assessment piece. I know there are different strands to the work. I wonder if there is a kind of mega heading that could encapsulate it all, rather than 5 different.
I guess that could be something that would. No. I mean, so the thing is that with the mental health, I guess with our subcommittee, then we could go ahead and, just be like you said, Michelle, I think that's a great idea. I think it ties in, because I think Mildred used to also attend those meetings of some sort. But anyway, so we could all tie it in together where, it could be under the mental health subcommittee. So we don't really need to have a liaison. We just keep in our ties, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're there anyway, so then the information comes in to the mental health subcommittee. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lag.
Commissioner Andrews?
So, Janine, we hear you without the lag, so you're good there. I just want to comment that Mildred was the basically heading up the subcommittee, and she could provide us some more information, I'm sure, just give us some of her contacts, but Elizabeth will have a lot of those as well. So I think once we get a chance to meet as a subcommittee, we'll be able to kind of untangle that information and get going.
Commissioner Andres, given your history with the subcommittee, would you be willing to serve as a liaison as well, just so that we have a broader footprint, as well as your years of experience in participating?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to participate. Thanks.
And Commissioner Andres, isn't it wild that you're like one of the most senior commissioners now? It just happens overnight.
I'm the most senior everywhere I go, to be honest. Because I'm just getting up there, David. But yeah, it is wild, isn't it?
Yeah. And I meant length on the committee, not chronological age. You haven't aged a day since I met you. So 27, 28 range, I think.
This is why we're friends. All right.
Are there other areas where we may need to consider having a liaison, or groups that we want to deepen relationships with, where we need to be intentional? So not hearing any other areas, it sounds like our list may be pretty well comprehensive given our work for the time being, and we obviously have the capacity to adjust as necessary as new topics arise. I wonder if we, given the pandemic and the need to reopen schools and the focus that needs to be there, any thoughts around potentially, whether it's a committee or having a liaison regarding the school reopening or advancing learning or learning acceleration? Is this an area as a commission that we would like to maybe be intentional and identify someone to be point on those conversations to keep us informed, as well as to share our perspective should issues arise or committees develop? Okay, so seeing that is an area that is really broad and we need some more time to think about it, because there's not just one area related to the pandemic or COVID that we can simply have one person take the lead on, but maybe in our commission meeting we can, during our open time for future agenda building, we can have a conversation around how we engage in that very important topic for the remainder of the year. The other component that we will need to address at our April meeting is probably around the agenda structure, given that we are online. How will we have committee meetings? So as we have the capacity to do so with Zoom and our virtual environment, we may need to be creative around when the committees meet and how we structure our updates in the meeting, given the limited time we have with a one-day meeting and the need to have meaningful conversations in the areas that we have liaisons and committees. That being the end of our agenda for operations and planning, I just want to check with our teammates from CDE. Aaron or anyone else, are there any other topics that we needed to address during this time?
Chair Tostin, we have no other topics on the list.
Okay. So then I will move to adjourn our Operations and Planning Committee time. I want to thank everyone for being here. We will begin the full commission meeting at 10 o'clock. Thank you to our two interpreters who supported us this morning. During our practice run, we learned some important lessons around not talking over each other and being meaningful or thoughtful in how quickly we're talking through some of our acronyms. So good reminder as we go into the full commission meeting. Thank you, everyone. The Operations and Planning Committee is adjourned.